Hey friends, so as we had learned in an earlier video, market power could potentially lead to market failure because of a lack of competition, and as a result, society becomes worse off. This is especially applicable for monopolies and oligopolistic firms. So to address this, the government can intervene with multiple approaches and policies in order to drive competition. And in this video, let's cover three key approaches to take note in this chapter, namely legislation to protect competition, legislation for mergers, and imposing fines. So looking at legislation to protect competition, this is also known as competition policy. And this basically refers to laws and legislation which prevents collusion between oligopolistic firms and anti-competitive behaviors by monopolies. So one very recent example would involve that of Google. As recent as August 2024, a US judge found that Google has an illegal monopoly on the search engine market, and therefore they have flouted antitrust laws. The second type of policy to address market power will be legislation in the case of mergers. So what are mergers? Mergers occur when two or more firms agree to join together and become a single firm, which occupies a large market share. Governments pass laws to prevent this from happening. And one example of such a law would be what we call the Seller-Kefauver Act, which was passed by Congress in the 1950s. Lastly, in terms of imposing of fines, fines are usually imposed by the government or government agencies if a firm has been proven to take part in anti-competitive behaviors. So for example, in May 2024, the food conglomerate Mondelez was fined 337.5 million euros for anti-competitive practices. So generally, governments will try to break up monopolies, but exceptions are made when it comes to natural monopolies, which, as you recall, is one very specific type of monopoly. And the reason as to why governments are a bit hesitant to break up natural monopolies is because they produce at a significantly lower average cost. Sometimes it is the government who also owns these natural monopolies, which make them easier to regulate. So the governments strive to regulate natural monopolies through two main methods. The first one will be marginal cost pricing, and the second one would be average cost pricing, just like you see in this mind map. So marginal cost pricing means that the monopolist sets the price equals to the marginal cost MC. In theory, this will lead to the monopolist achieving allocative efficiency because MB is equals to MC. But this will lead to losses for the natural monopolist because the price is lower than the firm's average cost. So to overcome these losses from this particular policy, an alternative and frankly better approach would be average cost pricing. And this refers to setting price equals to average cost AC. This will result in a higher price and lower quantity than the marginal cost pricing approach. But it is still a lower price and higher quantity than an unregulated monopolist. So while average cost pricing does not achieve allocative efficiency, this allows monopolies to make normal profit and is more efficient than the unregulated monopoly.